Hi, this is Gilbert Still, and this is my presentation for Module 3, Advocating for Technological Equity. Section 1 is looking at the synthesis of the content that was provided, so looking at all the resources and articles and reading through them. So first, looking at digital equity. So it's the focus on using technology to transform teaching and learning. So that's keeping in within the mind the goal of providing greater access to high quality learning experiences for all students. And then we want to make sure that we're embedding that equity and eliminating harmful policies. So harmful policies can include limited access, grading inequities, financial hardships, along with many other things. Then looking at digital inclusion, so that being full access to and use of affordable information and communication technologies. So that's including internet-enabled devices, digital literacy, applications, and online content. Continuing with a few other resources. So looking at the Digital Equity Act of 2021. So that's providing digital literacy and digital skills in education. So then that's where I have the little infographic on the side where it talks about providing those digital skills, improving online accessibility, and empowering rural communities. Then looking at digital citizenship. So for instructional staff and students, we want staff to be able to model and teach and then utilize some digital citizen curriculum. So we want students to be able to follow the rules. We want to be able to have them work with parents and teachers, and then make sure that they are safe and respectful using technology or when being online. Continuing again with more synthesis of content that was provided. So looking at educational technology. So that's any tool, equipment, or device, electronic or mechanical, that can help students accomplish their specific learning goals. Then technology can be a means of quickly improving learning outcomes. It allows teachers to focus on teaching, the pedagogy, building those sustained relationships. Also looking at teachers recognize the distinction between own devices and devices that are provided by district. Thinking about who does or doesn't have those devices, and then that all applications aren't available on certain devices. So those are things that we have to watch out as for. So that's what's skipping down to the number 4 of teachers are ensuring equity by looking at those different things. And then we also want to make sure we're looking at mobile tech allows for opportunities to advance curriculum and the pedagogical practices. Looking at technology accessibility. So access, learning outside of schools, that there's more tools for personalized learning. So looking at the variety of supports, whether it's language supports, text to speech, adjust to time, due dates, anything like that. Also looking at accessibility, the speed, the voice, the physical controls, how data can be used to help make informed decisions. And then looking at the universal design as well, so that we're able to engage as educators content in different ways. Looking at creative solutions is what this slide is focusing on, and what the resources down below help provide on many different ways that they're looking at doing things and how that's getting completed. So allows for differentiation, personalized instruction is one solution. So looking at different ways, how to make it more engaging, how to get things going on for those students. Teacher training, so making sure that there's PD, continuous PD, so that way the teachers feel confident, they're able to train and teach the students, and making sure that support staff is also prepared as well, and that it's also instructional coaches, principals, everybody involved that knows how and understands the technology pieces. Having the combination of expertise of software developers and educators, having the combination of those two meet, because the educators are one in the classrooms and they know exactly what's needed, but being able to have a communication, some collaboration with those expertise software developers. Looking at iTech poverty. So there's been places where companies help bring speed broadband to rural areas, and that they're looking at ways to need access to hardware. So getting grants, scholarships, different things like that to make sure that happens. IT, they focus on strategy. They anticipate needs and security. So looking at things that could be potentially in the future before they even happen and help coming up with solutions. Checking out technology to any students that may need it. That could be overnight. That could just be a before school, after school. Any way to help the students make sure that there's that equity going on. Looking at grants and purchases for hotspots. I know that's something that our district did when it came to COVID-19, looking at ways how we could come up with solutions, and we bought hotspots for students and families that were in need. Not necessarily during the very beginning of COVID, but after the impacts of it, looking at how we could help kids that were going into quarantine. Tools and resources that work for families. So making sure that we're thinking of all stakeholders, especially them, since they would be the ones involved in helping their children. And then just teachers getting creative in general. So teachers using USB sticks, providing longer due dates, doing project-based learning. Maybe that doesn't have to utilize technology or every single piece of technology, just adding bits and pieces as needed. And then just looking at district awareness, before and after school, students can come in to use laptop devices, iPads, or whatever technology that district is using. Having hotspots available, like I mentioned before, paying for home internet. That way, if they do get to take devices, they're still able to complete any work or utilize their device as needed. Parking lot internet access. So I know that's something that many districts have moved towards too, and that is something that our district does as well. Sometimes we see kids on the weekends in parking lots or families in there using their devices. Next slide is looking at developing a shared vision and goals. So, including a time frame on there, making sure what hardware is going to be used, support school goals, have a communication to plan families, and then PD for teachers as well. So looking at a comprehensive vision of digital citizenship. So adopt the comprehension vision of digital citizenship, create a vision, have strategic plans, whether that includes cohorts of teachers, provide targeted PD to them. Some examples that were done with the resources below is that they created modules or so district created course as well that teachers could complete and look at. Then looking at the ISTE standards and how they provide focus for leaders. Those standards focus on equity, digital citizenship, team and systems building, continuous improvement, and professional growth. So looking at the equity, leaders are using technologies to increase equity, inclusion, and digital citizenship practices. Then when we think about the visionary planner, leaders are engaging others in establishing a vision and having a strategic plan and having an evaluation cycle and looking at technology in that process. Looking at empowering leaders, leaders are creating a culture where teachers and learners are empowered to use technology in innovative ways. And then system designer, leader, builder teams and systems implement, sustain, and continually improve the use of technology. And then looking at how it's as a connected learner, just modeling and promoting continuous professional development. Thinking about my district and looking at curriculum analysis, different things that we utilize right now in our middle school and across the district as well. So across the district, we have one-to-one laptop devices for each student, K through 12. Um, in elementary, those students just keep them in their classroom. In middle school and high school, they travel without them throughout the day, but nobody takes those devices home. Um, iPads, we still have those in stock. That's the device we had before we switched over to HP laptops. So if certain applications don't work on a computer, teachers can request iPads. Hotspots are provided for families that are in quarantine and need a device to take home to finish work. Here at both of our middle schools, we have PD every Tuesday. So we look at technology and how we embed that. We look at curriculum maps, the clusters and units. We have a FastBridge screener and core assessments that are all technology. EduClimber is our data hub, so we utilize that during team time and look at that to help with any data we're looking at. WebKids for IEPs. We now live stream activities, athletics, and awards for families because that's something we found in COVID that was very beneficial. Google Classroom is something that we began to utilize after COVID-19, that if we were ever to go on a shutdown for any reason, we would have a platform that all students, faculty know how to utilize. We now have connection and food backpack surveys, the non-academic, on technology. So seeing what kids are in need of food and doing it in a private way that where counselors know what's needed. And the connection survey is for students to pick pictures of staff members that they feel connected with in the building. Core classes, they have curriculums, have technology integrated for assessments, activities, videos, anything like that. And then our Connect, our computer class, teaches digital citizenship, 6 through 8, and they utilize Zello, which is kind of like an online resume that 6th through 12th grade students utilize. In advisory, looking at social emotional learning, where we have that connected to technology, and then students are setting goals for themselves and putting those into Google Classroom and communicating those with all their teachers and parents at conferences. Addressing technological inequity curriculum, we need to make sure we have continuous PD for staff, strategic plans. Digital citizenship needs to be taught K through 12, not just in the middle school. There can be grading inadequacies, so we need to look at adjusted time and due dates. Language supports, before and after school support would be something that we could utilize. Communicating plan to families so families are aware of what's going on, and then creating a comprehensive vision for technology use. Laptop responsibilities, and then hardware charges and slow replacement. So those are another thing that we deal with students being able to take them throughout the day. Middle school students aren't always responsible, so they break them, but then we want to get a device in their hand as soon as possible. But that's not something that is always going on, that we definitely need to improve upon. And that's where some kids would benefit if we had a before or after school support program. How this is relevant to me now in my learning is we definitely deal with those hardware charges and slow replacement. So looking at improving that. Digital citizenship, it's taught in 6th through 8th grade Connect. But something we would like to do is where all of our teachers understand that digital citizenship and can help teach it. We use GoGuardian to help students be safe and responsible by not getting on inappropriate websites. We're focusing on teaching our students responsibility and how to keep track of their laptops so they're not losing them throughout the day and can utilize them in class as needed. Our students do not take them home. And then, like I said before, we're using the Google platform. With COVID-19, there was no plan for students to take devices home. Digital skills were lacking both by staff and students. So that's something for PD on Tuesdays at the middle school we've definitely been improving upon. And then students didn't always have internet access. So that's why we got the hotspots as a district. And there was not an adequate communication plan with families. But now we've been working on that and putting items in our newsletter. Reflection. As a district leader, I would want to focus on equity, making sure we have devices, internet access, and digital skills for all of our students and families. Digital citizenship taught district-wide, not just at middle school classrooms in the Computer Connect application rooms. Having a comprehensive PD plan to where it's K through 12, looking at digital skills for staff and students, and then having a plan for families, which includes technology plans and PD for them to come in as well. Um, and then these last 4 slides are just